The twin suns burned bright above the alien palace, their golden light falling on towers of shining crystal. From far away, the palace looked like heaven, but inside it was full of rules, secrets, and fear. The alien princess stood at her tall window, her silver eyes fixed on the stars. She was young, beautiful, and powerful, yet she felt like a prisoner. Her life was not her own. Every step she took, every word she spoke was watched by guards and controlled by the laws of the Galactic Empire. For years, she had been curious about one forbidden species, humans. The Empire called humans dangerous animals full of chaos and rebellion. But the princess did not believe this. She had read stolen reports, listened to hidden recordings, and even dreamed about them. Unlike her cold and logical people, humans were alive with emotion, love, anger, hope, fear. And now, the unthinkable had happened. A human prisoner had been brought to the palace. He was captured from a distant colony, smuggled through dark space and locked away in the lowest chamber. The guards whispered about him as if he were a wild beast. But to the princess he was something else, a living answer to her questions. At night, when the palace was quiet, she could not stop thinking about him. What did his voice sound like? Did he look cruel or kind? Could he tell her about Earth, the lost world she had only read about in secret files? Her heart pounded with fear, but also with a strange excitement. The galactic law was clear. No alien was allowed to touch a human, not even speak to one. To do so was treason. The punishment was death. And yet curiosity burned stronger than fear. That night she covered herself in a dark cloak and slipped out of her royal chamber. Her footsteps were soft against the crystal floors, her breath quick in her chest. She passed guards who never suspected that their princess would dare to break the law. Down and down she went, into the shadowed heart of the palace, where the air smelled of stone and metal. At last she reached the prisoner's chamber. The heavy door stood before her, guarded by silence. Her hands trembled as she pressed the secret code on the panel. The lock clicked open. Inside, the chamber was dark, lit only by a dim blue light. The human sat against the wall, his wrists chained, his eyes half closed. He looked weak, tired, but when he noticed her, his eyes opened wide. For the first time in her life, the princess saw a human's eyes, deep, full of fire, full of life. Not an animal, not a beast, something more. Neither spoke at first. The silence was heavy, dangerous, filled with questions. At last, the princess whispered, "Do you understand me?" The human lifted his head. His voice was rough but steady. "Yes," he said, her heart raced. This was the moment she had dreamed of. The moment that would change everything. But in the shadows, the walls seemed to listen. If anyone discovered what she was doing, both she and the human would be doomed. The princess knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning. The chamber was silent, except for the faint hum of alien machines hidden in the walls. The princess stood frozen, her cloak still wrapped tightly around her. The human's voice echoed in her mind. He could understand her. He could speak her language. Her people had always described humans as wild and uncivilized, yet this man did not look like a beast. His face was pale from captivity, his hair messy, his body bruised. But his eyes, those sharp human eyes, were alive. They studied her as if he were the one discovering a strange new creature. "Who are you?" he asked slowly, his voice low, cautious. The princess hesitated. If she revealed her true identity, everything would be ruined. But something inside her refused to lie. I am the princess of this empire," she whispered. The human let out a short laugh, bitter but not cruel. "So a princess comes to look at her prisoner. Tell me, am I a trophy to you? A rare animal in a cage?" The words stung her. She had never been spoken to like this before. No alien dared to speak with such boldness, especially not to her. But strangely, she did not feel anger. Instead, she felt curiosity and guilt. "I am not here to mock you," she said quickly. "I wanted to see you, to hear you." The human tilted his head. "Why? You already have power, freedom, everything. Why risk coming here?" The princess took a deep breath. For years, she had kept her questions locked inside her mind. Now, standing before the only human she had ever seen, the truth spilled out. "My people say humans are violent, dangerous, and broken. But I read about Earth. I read about your oceans, your storms, your music. You are not like us. You feel more. You fight, but you also love. I wanted to know if it is true." The human's eyes softened. though his chains rattled as he shifted. "Yes," he said. "It is true. We love, we hate, we laugh, we cry. We are everything your empire fears because we cannot be controlled." His voice carried strength even in weakness, and it shook something inside the princess. For the first time she felt that maybe her people were wrong. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Tell me about Earth, tell me what it was like." The man closed his eyes as if reaching back into a memory long lost. When he spoke, his tone was gentler, almost wistful. The sky was blue, endless. The oceans roared like living giants. The forest smelled of rain and the mountains touched the clouds. But what I miss most are the people, my family, my friends. They made the world alive. Without them, even the stars feel empty. The princess felt her chest tighten. Her world was cold, ruled by laws and fear. But the way he spoke made her long for something she had never known. Warmth. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. The princess froze. If the guards came now, they would see her with the prisoner. Her life and his would end tonight. She turned to the human, her silver eyes wide with fear. He met her gaze calmly, almost as if he had expected this moment. "You should go," he whispered. "Before they catch you." Her heart pounded. Every instinct told her to run. But her soul told her something else. She could not leave him. Not now. The princess could still feel the echo of his words in her heart. The sound of footsteps faded from the corridor and silence returned. She let out a shaky breath, but her hands still trembled. She had risked everything just by speaking to him. Yet she could not stop now. The human sat in the dim light, chains wrapped around his wrists. His body was weak, but his eyes were strong. It unsettled her. No alien in the Empire looked at her this way, not with fear, not with blind loyalty, but with honesty. "I should not be here," she whispered. "Then why are you?" he asked. His tone was not cruel. It was curious. The princess hesitated. She had lived her life in secrets and masks, never showing her true face to anyone. But this human, this stranger, pulled the truth out of her like a tide pulling the shore. "My people are dying," she said softly. "Our numbers shrink each year. Our children are born weaker, sicker. The Empire hides it, but I know. We are fading." The human frowned. "So what does that have to do with me?" Her silver eyes locked on his. Her voice dropped to a whisper, trembling with forbidden words. "There is a belief, a whisper among scientists. Humans may hold the answer. Your strength, your fire, your ability to survive anything. It could save us." The human's jaw tightened. He understood at once. "You want me as an experiment," he said. "A tool for your empire." "No," she cried, stepping closer. "Not the Empire, me." The human blinked. "You?" The princess's heart pounded so hard she thought he could hear it. Her voice was almost broken when she spoke again. "I do not want to use you. I want to try with you, to see if life can be born between us." The words hung heavy in the air. Dangerous words. Words that could end her bloodline if anyone heard them. The human stared at her, silent for a long moment. His chains clinked as he shifted forward, his eyes searching her face. "You're serious," he said finally. "Yes. Do you even understand what you're asking?" His voice was sharp now, but not unkind. "Breeding, as you call it, is not just a science experiment. It is trust. It is risk. It is human." The princess felt her throat tighten. She had read about love, about families, but she had never lived it. Her world was built on control and breeding programs, not emotions. And yet, standing before him, she felt emotions stronger than logic could contain. "I know the danger," she whispered, "but I cannot ignore this. If our blood can join, maybe the future can change." The human lowered his head, closing his eyes. For a moment he looked tired, broken, but then a faint smile touched his lips, sad but real. "You are brave, princess. Maybe too brave. But tell me, are you willing to risk your life for this? For me?" Her answer came without hesitation. "Yes." At that moment the chamber felt smaller, the shadows heavier. The princess knew there was no turning back. What she had spoken was not only a proposal, it was rebellion. Days turned into nights and nights into secret meetings. The princess returned again and again to the prisoner's chamber, always under the cover of darkness. Each time she came, the fear of discovery weighed heavy on her heart, but the pull toward him was stronger. At first, their talks were short and cautious. She asked about Earth, and he answered. He asked about her life in the palace, and she spoke little. But slowly, the walls between them began to fall. The human told her about the sound of rain hitting rooftops, about the way laughter could warm even the coldest winter. He spoke of music, how a simple song could make people cry or dance. To the princess, raised in a world where emotions were treated as weakness, these things sounded like magic. In return, she shared her own truths. She spoke of her childhood in the palace where she was never allowed to run in the gardens or speak freely. Every step of her life was planned by the empire, every smile rehearsed. "I have lived like a shadow," she confessed. "But with you, I feel..." The human listened, his eyes never mocking. Instead, he said, "Maybe that's what makes humans dangerous. We refuse to live as shadows." Their conversations grew longer, deeper. What began as curiosity slowly became something more, a connection neither had expected. The princess found herself laughing at his strange human jokes. The human, even in chains, seemed stronger when she was near, but danger followed them like a ghost. Servants began to whisper. Guards noticed her late-night absences. Rumors spread through the palace corridors like smoke, though no one dared speak them aloud. One night, as she entered the chamber, the human noticed her trembling hands. "You are afraid," he said quietly. She nodded. "If they find out, it will be the end." "Then why keep coming back?" he asked. The princess's throat tightened. She searched for the answer, and at last it came like a breath of fire. "Because when I am with you, I feel alive. Because I cannot stop." The human's eyes softened. Slowly, he reached out, the chain clinking as he extended his hand. For a moment, she hesitated. Her people believed humans were poisoned to touch, but her heart overruled her fear. She placed her hand in his. The warmth of his skin shocked her. It was not poison. It was life. Her breath caught, and she could see the same realization in his eyes. "This is forbidden," he whispered. "Yes," she said, "but maybe forbidden things are the only things worth fighting for." In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, something greater than fear, greater than the law. A bond had been born, but outside, beyond the walls, the empire's eyes were everywhere. And soon their secret would not stay hidden. The princess thought she could keep their bond hidden. She thought the palace was too vast, the guards too blind, and the nights too silent for anyone to notice. But she was wrong. Whispers had already spread through the golden halls. Servants spoke of the princess vanishing at night, her footsteps echoing in forbidden corridors. Guards wondered why the human prisoner, though weak, looked less broken with each passing day. Suspicion grew like fire in dry grass. One evening, when the princess slipped once again into the shadows of the lower chambers, she did not realize a pair of eyes followed her. A guard, loyal to the emperor, trailed her footsteps silently until he reached the human's cell. What he saw, the princess holding the prisoner's chained hand, was enough to seal both their fates. The next day, the emperor summoned her. His voice was cold, his eyes sharp as blades. "You have been seen," he said. The princess's blood turned to ice. The throne room was filled with silence. High generals stood at the walls, their faces stone. Her father's gaze burned into her. "Tell me, daughter, have you broken the law? Have you touched the human?" Her lips trembled, but she could not lie. "Yes," she whispered. A storm of gasps filled the chamber. The generals looked at her with horror, with disgust. The emperor's hand tightened on the arm of his throne. "Do you know the punishment for this crime?" he demanded. She lifted her chin. Fear clawed at her chest, but she refused to bow. "Death," she said softly. The emperor stood, his tall figure casting a shadow across the room. "Not only yours," he growled. "The humans as well. Both of you will be erased as the law commands." Her heart shattered. She saw chains, fire, execution. She saw the man who had taught her laughter and warmth dragged to his death. "No," she cried, stepping forward. "He is not an animal. He is not our enemy. He is hope. You blind yourselves with law, but our people are dying. We need him," the generals murmured angrily, but the emperor's voice cut through like thunder. "Enough!" Guards seized her arms. She fought, but their grip was iron. She could do nothing as soldiers were sent to drag the human from his cell. In the darkness of the chamber below, the human heard the doors crash open. Chains rattled as they pulled him up. But even then, his eyes were steady, his voice calm. "They've found us," he said when he saw her. Tears burned her eyes. "I will not let them kill you," she whispered. He gave her a faint smile, sad and brave. "Then you must be ready to fight. Not for me, but for us." The princess's heart blazed. She knew the truth now, there was no more hiding. The secret was broken, the law had spoken, and the Empire would show no mercy. But for the first time she felt no fear. Only defiance. The palace shook with alarm. Sirens blared. Red lights flashed across the golden halls and soldiers rushed like waves of steel. The princess was locked in her chamber, a guard at every door. The human was chained again, dragged to a holding cell where he was to await execution, but the princess had not surrendered. As the night deepened, a shadow slipped into her chamber. It was Leora, her most loyal handmaiden. Her eyes were wide with fear, but her voice was steady. "I cannot let them kill you," she whispered. She pressed a small device into the princess's hand. A key. "It will break the human's chains." The princess's heart raced. "Why are you helping me?" Leora's eyes glistened. "Because you are the first royal who ever treated me like more than a servant. Go, before it's too late." The princess wrapped herself in a cloak and moved through the secret passages of the palace. Every step echoed with danger. Guards stormed the corridors above her, searching, but the hidden tunnels guided her to the lower cells. When she reached the human, he looked up in surprise. "You came, always," she whispered. With trembling fingers, she placed the device on his chains. It sparked, hissed, and the metal snapped open. For the first time, he stood free. His body was weak, but his eyes burned with fire. He grabbed her hand. "Then let's get out of here." They ran through the tunnels, but the Empire was not blind. Alarms changed pitch. Soldiers filled the lower halls. The escape had been noticed. Blaster fire lit the dark corridors. The human pulled her into cover. Instincts sharp, movements fast. "You've never been in a fight, have you?" he asked, a grin flashing despite the danger. "Not like this," she admitted. "Then stay close." Together they weaved through the chaos. The princess used her knowledge of the palace to open hidden doors, while the human used his raw strength and cunning to disarm guards, even with nothing but his fists. They were two worlds, yet in that moment they moved as one. At last they burst into the docking bay. Ships gleamed under cold lights, guarded by armed soldiers. Their only hope was a small starcraft at the far end. "Go," the human shouted, pulling her along. They sprinted, dodging fire. A soldier lunged at them, and for a heartbeat, betrayal struck. The soldier was no stranger. It was one of the princess's own cousins sent to watch her. "You shamed the Empire," he hissed, raising his weapon. But before he could fire, the human slammed into him, knocking him aside. "Keep moving." The princess and the human leapt into the starcraft. She slammed her hand on the controls and the engines roared to life. The docking bay doors opened to the cold vastness of space. Behind them, the Emperor's fleet stirred, warships awakening like monsters. As their small ship shot into the void, the princess looked back once. Her home was now her enemy. Beside her, the human tightened his grip on the controls. "We're not safe yet," he said. "They'll chase us to the ends of the stars." The princess's voice was steady, her eyes fierce. "Then let them chase. Together we will outrun them." The stolen starcraft raced through the void, stars streaking past like silver fire. Behind them, the royal fleet thundered in pursuit, vast ships bristling with weapons, engines burning with fury. The princess and the human had escaped the palace, but freedom was still far away. The human gripped the controls, sweat on his brow, as the ship shook under enemy fire. "We can't outrun them forever," he said. The princess stared at the glowing radar, the fleet growing closer. Her heart pounded with dread. She had dreamed of escaping, but reality was harsher. The Empire would never stop hunting them. Not while her father lived. She rose from her seat, silver eyes hard. "Then we don't run. We end this." The human turned to her, shocked. "What are you saying?" Her voice was calm, steady. "My father will chase us across the galaxy. He will kill you. He will kill me. But if we face him now, if we show the Empire what we are, everything can change." The human hesitated. He had survived battles before, but this was no simple fight. This was standing against an empire. Yet when he looked at her, he saw no fear, only defiance and hope. Slowly he nodded. "Then we fight together." The princess opened the comms channel. A giant warship filled the screen, its black hull like a living shadow. The Emperor appeared, his face carved from stone, his voice cold as death. "Daughter," he said, "surrender now. Come home and your death will be swift. Resist and your suffering will be endless." The princess stepped forward. No, father. I will not surrender. I have seen the truth. You cling to purity, but our people are dying. This human is not our enemy. He is our future. The throne room behind the emperor erupted in anger. Generals shouted, demanding her execution. But the emperor silenced them with a wave. His eyes burned with rage. You dare defy me? You would taint our bloodline with this. Animal? The princess lifted her chin. Yes, because life is stronger than law, and love is stronger than fear. The human stood beside her, unchained and proud. She is not alone, he said. The emperor's fury cracked across the stars. Then both of you will die. Cannons charged, lights blazed, and the void trembled. The human's hands flew across the controls, dodging the first blast. The princess worked the alien systems, her knowledge unlocking hidden shields. Together, they fought not as prisoner and princess, but as equals. The battle was fierce, the small starcraft weaving through the storm like a dart of light. For every strike the Empire landed, the pair struck back, not with greater weapons, but with greater will. And then came the moment. The princess routed all power into one final surge. The human locked the ship on a collision course with the Emperor's flagship. Are you ready? He asked. She reached for his hand, her eyes burning with resolve. Always. The starcraft blazed like a falling star as it dove toward the enemy ship. A flash of light consumed the void, and when the fire cleared, the Empire was left shaken. The Emperor's ship lay broken, his power shattered. Rumors spread across the galaxy of a princess who chose a human over her crown, of a love that defied law and death itself. Some called it betrayal. Others called it hope, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again.